Vampire Brothers Keeper, Chapter 6. A vampire en La Palma. Alas, I was much disappointed to discover that the only thing Laura wanted to write about was Valerio, and she found the vampire cycle extremely fascinating. And frankly, I had my doubts about him being a vampire. The vampires and the skin sensitivity to the sun are easily explained away by birth defect. As for how he killed Galleira, if one has sharp enough teeth, you can do miracles, and perhaps he paid a dentist to have his canines sharpened. Or maybe they are false teeth. If I don't see him transforming or performing superhuman feats, I will continue to doubt Valerio's vampirism, and maybe he's just a lunatic and nothing more. A week passed after this incident, and as far as the town was concerned, Galleira had been murdered by his slaves that had run away. And in spite of everything, I somehow managed to put it behind me. I am surprised that I lost very little sleep over it. And maybe I do have the makings of a good doctor. I saw a guy murdered right in front of me, and I was super blasé about it. During that time, I busied myself with chores, and when I'm working, I would fool around with Ignacio or I would write to Laura. I didn't see much of Valerio, and the one time I went to Dr. Sierra's clinic, Dr. Sierra told me to come back later. And on Sunday, I looked for the wheelchair or for Dorothy with my eyes, and the maiden came into church with her husband and nobody else. And I pushed myself to the crowd to be right behind the pair. I asked Dorothy, "Is Valerio still alive?" "Yes," said Dorothy. "Did he say anything?" I asked. "Not much," said Dorothy. "Is he eating?" I asked. "Shh," said the priest. "If you miss him so much, I can send him over to your house when he feels better," said Dorothy, turning around. "Can he come today?" I asked. "I don't know. He has an unstable personality," explained Dorothy. "If he wakes up today in a good mood, I will send him over." "You promise?" I said, raising my pinky. "I promise," said Dorothy, huffing before rolling her eyes. And she did the pinky swear nonetheless. And with this promise, I returned to my mother's side, and the maiden raised an eyebrow, commented, "You seem happy today." "Valeria's coming over for a visit," I said, smiling happily. "When?" "Today," asked my mother, raising an eyebrow. "I do wish you would have told me sooner, and we haven't anything prepared to receive your guest." You never prepare anything when Laura or Ignacio visit." "Yes, but this is Valerio. Yes, but this is Valerio we are talking about, and he's your new friend, is he not?" asked my mother. "We are not good friends yet, but I find his company agreeable," I said, stating a fact. "How old is he?" asked my mother. "I don't know. I didn't ask. He looks young. Maybe we are the same age," I fancied. "And it would make things easier if we were the same age. And this would make us equals, and men who are older than me always boss me about or they baby me. I suppose I won't be a problem anymore once I get a diploma or grow facial hair, whatever happens first." And I returned to my house with my mother, and the hours passed lazily by with me lying on the hammock while daydreaming, and I was distracted from my reverie by a figure approaching. The figure had a sun hat and a black traveler's cape, and I quickly recognized the lovely blonde hair shining like the afternoon sun. And the one hand that was visible was gripping a cane, and every time he gave a step with his left leg, he almost hopped a little. Apparently his leg was still a little bruised. When he removed his sun hat, I was able to look upon Valerio's beautiful face, and he was pretty, just like a girl. And he had an elegant aquiline nose, pronounced cheekbones, and full red lips, and the green eyes were Asian-like. And he reached into his coat, and his injured hand was holding on to a bag. And he held out the bag before saying, "Dorothy told me to bring something sweet as a gift, and since I couldn't afford anything, I baked cookies. It was the only thing I could make with what I found at the clinic's kitchen." "Thank you," I said, accepting the gift, and I added, "How old are you, by the way?" "I am 23, or maybe 24, said Valerio after a long pause, and he added, "I am sorry to disappoint you." "It's fine, I guess," I said, forcing a fake smile. "Aren't you going to invite me in? I can't enter your house without your permission, said Valerio, smiling coyly, and his sharp teeth glistened in the morning sun. So you get it, like, cause a vampire really. You gotta invite me in to let me inside. You have excellent dental hygiene, I commented, looking at the sharp teeth. I make it a point to wash my mouth every time I sink my teeth into something, just like my father taught me, said Valerio before lowering his gaze. My father taught me the same thing, I said, giving a wide smile. See, I also have all of my teeth. I think one of your wisdom teeth is starting to come out, said Valerio, looking into my mouth. You think? I said, sticking my finger into my mouth. Get that finger out of your mouth, you look like a baby, said my mother, coming outside to see the gas. I'm sorry, I said, lowering my gaze, and I could feel my face heating up from embarrassment. And my mother eyed Valerio from head to toe, and she circled around him before standing before him, and she especially focused on his eyes. And I could only guess as to what she was thinking about, and maybe she had an issue with his Asian eyes. Come inside, said my mother. I can't. You have to invite me inside. I won't go in otherwise. You are welcome inside my house, Valerio. Please come within, I said, placing my hand on his shoulder. Valerio walked slowly into the house, and his cane clacked against the checkered patterned tile floor, and his weary feet naturally gravitated towards a rocking chair, and I helped him by removing his coat and hat, and he was sweating from head to toe. I can have the maid bring the fan over, I offered. That won't be necessary. I just need to get used to this heat again, said Valerio. I take it you have been to Cuba before, asked my mother, starting the interrogation. Yes, but that was more than a decade ago, said Valerio. I lived in London until circumstances beyond my control forced me to get on the first boat that passed by my neighborhood, and my pursuers followed me all the way to the colonies until they caught up to me in, where am I again? La Palma, I reminded him. And pray do tell me what do your pursuers look like, and can you tell me their names, and have you even made an official report, inquired my mother. He's being hunted by a grand inquisitor. Going to the proper authorities is not going to improve his situation, I explained. Who denounced you? Asked my mother. Denounce is a strong word. He merely blabbed about me being a vampire to the wrong individual, or so I wager, said Valerio, turning his gaze. And maybe a priest took his drunken ramblings a little too seriously. I don't know. One day the inquisitor was at my door, and perhaps I got careless. Or maybe I angered the wrong individual. And with these things, it is always hard to know. My mother was silent for a moment while she tapped her index finger on the armchair of the couch. She opened her fan in a huff before closing it again, and she did that whenever she was struggling to make sense of something. It wasn't my idea to come here, but your son saved my life. So I'm duty bound to come to his house should he summon me, said Valerio apologetically. Mother huffed before bringing out a cigar to smoke, and I rang the bell to summon the staff. I then ordered, please make tea for a guest, and do you want milk as well? I never care much for tea. Just boil me a nice cup of milk, said Valerio. I laughed heartily at what I thought was a joke, and I only grew summer when I realized that Valerio earnestly wanted milk. And I unpacked a box of cookies and I tried one. They were still warm, and the spring heat must have helped them maintain their perfect temperature. And I bit one down. It was delicious. And there was something familiar yet nostalgic about the vanilla cookie. And my nana used to make vanilla cookies that tasted just like these ones. I couldn't help but giggle when I saw Valerio dipping his cookie in milk before eating it, and that was so childish of him. And I could only hope that he was as immature as I was. What do you do in London? I asked. I danced and I sang. Not well, mind you, just enough to survive, said Valerio before biting on his cookie. Did you play woman roles as well? Asked one of the maids, who was eavesdropping. Yes, I certainly do have the face for it, don't you think? Asked Valerio, touching his beautiful face. And he added, and I can do quite the convincing girly voice. And what are your parents? Asked the maid. Is your mom Asian, Indian? Is your dad British? They are dead last time I checked, said Valerio. And how did you check? Asked the maid, confused. I keep my parents with me wherever I go, said Valerio, bringing out a pouch from his pocket. And the maid shocked drew closer to the pouch, and Valerio opened it to reveal coins and a few banknotes, and he laughed heartily at his prank. And the maid cursed before running back to the kitchen, and she felt rather foolish indeed, although I must admit that I do believe Valerio when he claimed to carry his parents' remains in his pocket. "Can you sing something with a lady voice?" I asked. I also wanted him to dance, but considering his debilitated state, it wasn't likely that he was going to be prancing about anytime soon. "What do you want me to sing?" asked Valerio. "Whatever is popular in London," I suggested. "Fair Aurora, please stay, or the lady a walk on day," sang Valerio. How fitting that a vampire would sing about his desire for night to last a little longer. At the end of his song he sang, "It is from Artsy opera, and I wanted to play Mandane, but my body was too tall and muscular for me to play the role of a convincing woman." "What guide roles do you play?" I asked. "Just background characters, the chorus and nothing else." "My career in the theater was lackluster at best, but it kept me fed for the last 2 years of my life," said Valerio. "And what were you before you joined the choir?" I asked. "I was a sailor, and before that I was a burglar, and before that I was a beggar," said Valerio. Wait a minute. You told us you were rich," I said, catching Valerio in a contradiction. "And how is the Spanish Inquisition after you if you were in London?" "You shouldn't so readily believe what a person tells you, and if I were you, I would take everything I say with a grain of salt," said Valerio before sipping his milk. "I only performed in London for half a year before moving with my partner to a small theater in Andalusia." I huffed with frustration, and getting a straight answer out of him was going to be difficult. However, there was a truth hidden inside all of his lies. There was somebody after his life. An hour's silence followed, and I could tell that my mother disapproved of my friendship with Valerio, and he was a wanted man after all. Then again, why hasn't anyone put up wanted posters or notified the guards? Why hasn't anyone made an attempt of Valerio's life? And based on his wounds, the attack had occurred quite recently, and perhaps they were watching from the shadows, waiting for a new opportunity to strike. "If I may intrude, it would serve us well to know the name and the faces of your pursuers," said Santiago, entering the room with paper and charcoal. "They must still be nearby," I said, looking over my shoulder, "and they are probably biding their time, waiting to strike." "And for your safety and peace of mind, I will cooperate this time," said Valerio, sighing wearily. And he described his 4 attackers to the best of his abilities, and Santiago made several sketches of the hunters. And this will make it easier for us not to get caught unaware. "It is best that you do not get to know me that well, and once I'm strong we are going to leave Cuba, and I will take all of my problems with me," said Valerio after he finished his glass of milk. "Where will you go?" I asked. "Wherever the wind takes me," said Valerio, rubbing his temple, and he whispered something else, but I wasn't able to hear it. Alright, así nos damos, bye bye.